Good morning, all of you. I hope you were able to solve the questions given with the last poem. Now we are starting with the next poem, Wind by Subramanyam Bharati. The poet treats wind, a natural phenomena, as a person, a human being. It symbolizes difficulties, obstacles, and struggle. It, however, gives a strong moral that one must have strength to face the obstacles in life. Otherwise, as the wind destroy weak things, so will be all those who are weak and not strong. Wind has become a force to reckon with one's strength and power. The moral is that one must face obstacles and odds in life with strength and boldness. Now we are going to talk about the theme of the poem. The poem inspires us to face the challenges and hardships with courage, grit, and firm determination. Wind is a symbol of problems and obstacles which are to be dealt without fear. We must be friends with the wind to cope with hard situations. This poem consists of a total of 23 lines. These lines are not separated into stanzas. Here they are divided into meaningful segments for ease of comprehension. Subramanyam Bharati has drawn the living picture of wind which makes fun of the weak people or things. I'm going to start the poem segment wise. First segment of the poem is Wind, come softly, don't break the shutters of the windows, don't scatter the papers, don't throw down the books on the sill. The explanation for the first segment is, in these lines, the poet directly talks to the wind. In fact, he makes an entreaty to the wind. He asks the wind not to break down the shutters of the windows. The shutters are the only things that separate man from the stormy environment outside. So, in a way, the poet is asking the wind for protection. He also asked the wind not to scatter the papers in his room or to throw down the books from his bookshelves. It is suitable for him to care about papers and books and for them to be the first things in his room that he doesn't want disorganized because he is a writer. Perhaps some of these papers also contain drafts of poems like this one. Hence, they are very important to him and he cannot afford to lose them. The second segment is, there, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. The explanation to the second segment is, in these lines, the poet continues speaking to the wind. However, the tone he now uses to address the wind has changed from the tone he had been using in the first 4 lines of the poem. Here he takes on a harsh tone. He gestures towards the mess in his room and tells the wind that it is he who is responsible for it. He shows the wind how he has thrown all the books down from the bookshelves with his force and torn pages out of those books as well. However, the poet does not restrict his vision only to the inside of his house. Casting his gaze outside, he also accuses the wind of having brought a spell of rainfall with himself while approaching the poet's house. The third segment says, you are very clever at poking fun at weaklings, frail crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. The explanation says, now his tone has once again undergone a change. While it is still harsh, it has also become serious to some extent. The poet tells the wind that he makes mischief whenever he comes face to face with anyone who is too weak and mild to protest against his actions. The wind can tear down the doors, the rafters, or the entire wooden houses altogether. This is the wind's evident action, leaving people without a roof over their heads or walls to keep them sheltered from the harsh world outside. The troubles we face in life come as suddenly as the wind and also leave in the same sudden way. Hinting at this, the poet says that the wind can tear down weak bodies and fragile hearts. That is, difficulties in life can lead to a loss of hope as well as a loss of life. Whether such things will happen or not is all up to the wind god, says the poet. Coming to the fourth segment, it says, he won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. The explanation says, in these lines, the poet stops speaking to the wind and starts speaking to his readers. He tells his readers that the wind does not listen to anybody and that his actions are governed by him alone. Therefore, we cannot escape the ill effects of the wind by appealing to the wind like he has been doing. Instead, we should build our homes on a strong foundation and ensure that our doors cannot be easily penetrated in order to save ourselves from the wind. The fifth segment says, practice to firm the body, make the heart steadfast. Do this and the wind will be friends with us. The explanation says, in these lines, the poet outlines some other ways in which his readers can save themselves from the wind. He says that we must make ourselves strong, both physically and mentally. We must train our bodies and our hearts to combat against and resist the ill effects of the wind. If we are able to do this, then the poet thinks that we will no longer consider the wind an enemy. Instead, the wind will invite us to become his friend, and we will be able to fearlessly accept his invitation. The sixth segment says, the wind blows out weak fires, he makes strong fires roar and flourish. The explanation to sixth segment, it says, in these lines, the poet describes how the wind has both bad effects and good effects. In order to expose the bad effects of the wind, he shows how the wind can blow out a fire if it is glowing with the weak force. However, if the fire is burning strongly, then the wind will not blow it out but make it aggressive. Thus, the wind can nurture that which is already strong. The last and the seventh segment says, his friendship is good. We praise him every day. Wind comes softly. The explanation to the seventh segment says, in these lines, the poet comes to a conclusion after weighing both the bad effects and the good effects of the wind. He says that if we are strong, then the wind is a good friend for us to have, for he will increase our strength. He also says that we should sing a devotion to the wind god on a daily basis. Finally, he asks for the wind to come to him softly. This may seem a bit conscious of him, but shows that he has thought out his address to the wind very well. He knows how the wind can strengthen him, but also knows that he must not overestimate his own strength or disrespect the wind god. To prevent himself from doing either, he asks the wind to come to him in a gentle manner. Moving to the message of this poem, the poet teaches us how we should stand against our oppressors. In the poem, he presents the wind god who destroys everything weak. He wonders why the mighty god is fond of poking fun only with the weak. The poet therefore advises the weak to make them strong. He suggests them to be strong physically and mentally. Actually, the wind is the symbol of difficulties or obstacles that humans have to face for their survival. Now the vocabulary related to the poem is given below. Poking fun, that is making fun of something. Weaklings, a person who is weak. Crumbling, falling or to cause something to break. Rafter, sloping beam which support the roof of the building. Winnows, to break grain free of chaff. Separate grain from husk by blowing on it. Steadfast, that is firm, and flourish is to grow. Now the next is the poetic devices used in the poem. First is personification. Wind has been personified. When the poet says you are, he is referring to wind as you. That means he is treating wind as a person. The next is repetition. Crumbling is repeated many times to lay emphasis. The poet wants to say that the wind crushes everything that is weak. That is why he repeats the word crumbling. Alliteration, the repetition of a consonant sound in close connection. Wind winnows, won't want. Symbolism. Symbolism means that the thing refers to some other thing. Wind is a symbol. It refers to the challenges in life. He is using wind as a symbol for the adversities in our life. The last is some of the questions related to the chapter given below, and please try to do it at home. The first is, how does the poet want the wind to behave? Second, what is the poet's tone? Third, what has the wind done to the poet? Fourth, what do you know about the poet's area of interest from the stanza? Fifth, is the poet praising the wind in the second stanza? Why do you think so? Sixth, what does crumbling hearts refer to? Seventh, with whom does the wind become friendly? Eighth, what happens to strong fires when wind blows into them? Ninth, in what sense is the friendship of wind good? 10th, what does this poem teach you personally? Thank you so much. I hope you were able to understand the poem and the related content.